Warm greetings from the Center for National Security Studies. I'm your host, Balasubramanian, Senior Research Officer and Head of the India Strategic Studies Program at CNSS. Today, we are in a conversation with Mr. T. Ramakrishnan, Senior Associate Editor, The Hindu, Chennai. He is also the author of the books Kaveri, A Long-Minded Dispute, and 1987 Rajiv Jayawardena Accord. He was also a former correspondent in The Hindu in Colombo for The Hindu. Warm welcome, sir, and thank you very much for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you.
So moving on to the first question. The results of presidential elections point to a sea change in Sri Lanka's political scenario. Considering this, what will be the top 5 major takeaways for us, sir?
First and foremost, I would call this election a political earthquake, which took place peacefully, democratically, and more than anything else, beautifully. All the contestants in the election conducted themselves in a dignified manner. Contrary to the speculation before the polling day that there would be troubles in the transfer of power in the event of regime change, the transfer of power was short and sweet. As for the meaning of the poll result, almost all the established players and traditional parties have been thrashed. That a candidate belonging to a particular formation, in this instance Anurukumara Dasanayake of the JVP or National People's Power, NPP, was able to score an incredible rise in his vote share from 3.16% in 2019 to 42.31% in 2024. In a matter of 5 years, and capture the first slot was by no means a small achievement. This election is going to be talked about for years to come the world over. Needless to say, Aragalaya, struggle in Sinhala, or the popular uprising in the summer of 2022 set the ground for the quake to occur. Number 2, the election also shows, or rather reinforces, what a critical role or influence that a country's economic policies can have or bearing on the lives of people and the voting behavior. I would say in recent years, perhaps this is the first time in this region, South Asia, the factor of economic condition, otherwise a dull and boring subject for many people, took the center stage in the poll campaign and drove people to take a decisive stand. Number 3, alongside the economy, the election raised extraordinarily high degree of expectations among the people, particularly Sinhalese, that they would be going to have a new political culture or system in the light of promises given by AKD. Let me add here that his promise has attracted the attention of people cutting across age, language, and even ethnicity. As the Sinhalese are in majority, naturally they are nursing high hopes about him. That this doesn't mean that there are no takers for him among the ethnic minorities, which we will discuss later. Besides, AKD's relentless attacks on the corrupt, rotten system paid off, and he was able to convince the voters that the root of the country's economic problems lay in the corrupt political system, which had to be abolished. Number 4, considering the history of ethnic conflict, this election marked a departure from 2019, wherein Gotabaya Rajapaksa of Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana, SLPP as they call, who was the winner then, had demonstrated that success was possible without much support from Tamils and Muslims. Yet this time, no important candidate chose to ignore them. Even those considered extreme Sinhala Buddhist nationalists made it a point to visit Jaffna. The sight of Vimal Veeravansa and Uday Gamanpila, 2 such known nationalists, going to Kandasamy temple in Nellore, Jaffna, in support of their candidate, Dilip Jayavira, along with him, would not be dismissed as a mere act of posturing. Normal Rajapaksa, Mahinda Rajapaksa's son and the SLPP candidate this time, talked of transforming the Jaffna Peninsula into a thriving technology and business hub like the Silicon Valley. This could not be imagined even 10 years ago. The election, even if you dub them election stunts, election time stunts, okay? Number 5, a majority of ethnic minorities, Muslims and the Tamils of recent Indian origin or latent Tamils included, apart from Sri Lankan Tamils, voted in a way different from that of the majority community. Even though the minorities too had suffered as much severely as the Sinhalese during the economic crisis 2022. Yet a small segment of the minorities had developed a soft corner for AKD. To give an example, in Jaffna district, electoral district, AKD got 1,375 votes. That is 0.37% in 2019. But in 2024, the figure went up to 27,000 and odd, 27,000 plus with 7.3% vote share. Having said that, the larger picture was that the minorities viewed AKD's emergence as a principal political player cautiously, and their loyalty was divided between the runner-up, Sajid Premadasa of SJB, and the immediate previous president, Ranil Wickremesinghe. Take the case of 6 electoral districts, that is Nuvarelia, Jaffna, Vanni, Trincomalee, Batticaloa, and Ampara, where the ethnic minorities are present in substantial numbers. AKD's vote share from these districts accounts for 6.54% of what he got overall, okay? Or from the remaining 16 electoral districts. There are 25 administrative districts, but there are 22 electoral districts. So from these 6 districts, his share was 6.54%. But the same 6 districts accounted for about 20% of Sajid's total votes and around 21.5% of Ranil's total votes. Let me end my response to the first question with an interesting note that Gotabaya too secured 6.5% of his votes from the 6 districts in 2019.
Thank you very much, sir, for setting the ball rolling. In fact, my next question was supposed to be on AKD. Sir, what will be your assessment on AKD and his plans and policies for Sri Lanka? Because, as you just mentioned, the percentage of votes received by him at the presidential hustings is much less than what President Gotabaya Rajapaksa secured 5 years ago. What are your comments on that, sir?
Despite registering a phenomenal increase in his vote share, AKD, it's a fact that has fallen short of the majority, which is 50 MPs. So for a majority of the population of Sri Lanka, the JVP acceptability is an issue. Let us not gloss over, okay? Even though his victory is unprecedented, it's remarkable, it's somewhat phenomenal, okay? So this has happened for the first time in the history of presidential elections of Sri Lanka. Even Maithripala Sirisena, a common opposition candidate who defeated Mahinda Rajapaksa in 2015 and who was considered uncharismatic, unlike AKD. AKD is considered to be a charismatic leader. Maithripala Sirisena, nobody would say that he is a political leader of some standing. But anyway, he got 51.28% with about 62 lakh votes. So unless the NPP or JVP performs far better in the November 14th parliamentary polls than what AKD did in the presidential poll, it is going to be very, very challenging for AKD to fulfill his promises. And if he faces that situation, he will have to take a look at the pattern of votes he secured in the presidential election. As for your reference to Gotabaya, let me tell you that the foundation for the vote base of Gotabaya was laid by his elder brother, Mahinda Rajapaksa, a long-standing political leader of Sri Lanka. I do agree that Gotabaya had moved certain sections of intelligentsia in the run-up to 2019 presidential poll and succeeded too. But his lack of political grounding came to the fore in 2022. This was why he had to flee the country along with his wife, whereas his brother Mahinda stayed back. So to cut short my story, Gotabaya's votes were largely due to Mahinda, whereas AKD, who was a marginal player till about 5 years ago, had to climb up the ladder the hard way. Please do not overlook that there are still sections of Sinhalese which are not comfortable, who are not comfortable with the JVP, given the insurrections of 1971 and 87-89. This was evident in 2024 election result too, and I would attribute this factor to AKD not securing majority.
So moving on to my next question, do you think the Tamil community will benefit from the current presidency? Do you think it misread the situation? How do other minorities perceive their future, sir?
You have raised 3 sub-questions, I would say. I think I have already answered the second one. I won't say that they have misread the situation. They are cautious, and naturally so, given the anti-Tamil stand historically taken by AKD's party, JVP. Passage of time heals only certain wounds, and not everyone, and not for everyone. Let us hope that Tamils, when I say Tamils, I include not only those from the north and the east, but also the hill country region, Tamils of recent Indian origin, to whom we, I think Indians, are morally obliged to improve their lot, will get benefited by the AKD's presidency. NPP manifesto talks of many positive features, apart from blaming the elite ruling class for failing to unite the Sinhalese, Tamil, Muslim, and plantation communities under one flag as a Sri Lankan nation, despite governing the country until now. As far as his promises are concerned, that is, I have taken all the following points from his manifesto, from the NPP manifesto. What he says is, introduce a new constitution that strengthens democracy and ensures equality of all citizens. The proposed constitutional reforms will guarantee equality and democracy and the devolution of political and administrative power to every local government, district and province, so that all people can be involved in governance within one country. Provincial councils and local government elections, which are currently postponed indefinitely, will be held within a year to provide an opportunity for the people to join the governments. Releasing all political prisoners and ensure their free socialization. Abolition of all oppressive acts, including the Prevention of Terrorism Act, PTA, and ensuring civil rights of people in all parts of the country. Regularization of civil administration in a way that the civil rights of the people in north and east are safeguarded. Okay, providing educational and employment opportunities to all ethnicities based on merit without political influence. So I can go on, and then also the ending resettlement programs that operate with the aim of changing population composition. So the point is, these points have been drawn up. I think studying the history of ethnic conflict in the country, contemporary Sri Lankan history. Anyway, they have captured very, very many good aspects that are acceptable to, particularly to Tamils, that is the Tamils from the north and east. They are all fine. That is, it's on paper, it looks very impressive. So let us hope for the best. And then, so as for the minorities in general, they are viewing the development cautiously and carefully, as I said earlier. There is a feeling, I suppose, among them also that AKD should be given a fair chance.
So going ahead, Sri Lanka will have a very busy political calendar with parliamentary elections due in November. Can you please give us the benefit of your assessment of it? What will the major political parties do? This was now AKD is in power. So his party and JVP, and then that the banner NPP. And we will talk about them first.
So I am not sure whether JVP and PP will be able to repeat what it did in the presidential poll. I'm not sounding pessimistic but the point is that I am basically a data man. So I would give an example of 2015 when Maithripala Sirisena won the election with a 51 plus vote share. Then the gap between the two polls, in 2015, between the parliament as a presidential and parliament election was about 7 months. The presidential election took place in January, and this took place in August. Now it's 2 months, September and all. And then, though Sirisena who was supported by UNP and many other opposition parties, secured 51.5% votes. When it comes to parliamentary polls, the UNP and its allies would get about 48%. So 3 percentage point fall was there in 2015. Okay. Most likely, this pattern will get repeated because he didn't get even 50%. He got only about 42. Okay, that's fine. And then this time, presidential poll, given the inherent nature of the election, is that it's sort of a personalized election. So there, people would be, attracted or somewhat motivated to vote for a particular candidate, A or B or C. But when it comes to parliamentary polls, it is a largely party-based election, and then preferential vote system they have, of course. So that's why. So the voting, there is a discernible difference in the voting behavior of people. So that we should not gloss over, and that's why sometimes they don't. In fact, presidential polls attract higher turnout, not the parliamentary polls. In fact, this time even presidential polls did not. It didn't cross 80%. Even that was I was somewhat surprised. In terms of absolute figures, the figure may be high, but higher than the previous. But in terms of proportion of people, I expected 80 plus because you had this Garagalaya only 2 years ago. So Garagalaya did not, should have pushed more people to go to the polling booths. But anyway, so what I'm saying is this 3 percentage point fall that the UNP had compared to Sirisena in 2015, more or less the same pattern may get repeated, even though the conditions then and now are different. In that case, JVP, NPP will not have a simple majority. And it has to lean on other parties, which cannot be the only parties belonging to the minorities, given the internal political dynamics of state. Mr. Sajith Premadasa, who tasted defeat in the presidential poll for the second consecutive time, has been declared the candidate for the post of Prime Minister for his coalition. But normally this Ilangai Tamilarasu Katchi, now it's a residual TNA, I think Tamil National Alliance, it's almost dead. So in the north and the east, even then also they did not have any alliance with the UNP. They went alone. So this time also they are likely to go it alone. So the Sajith will not have the benefit of ITAK's alliance. So that's so as far as Sajith's performance, so north and the east, particularly say maybe in Vavuniya where you have some presence of Sinhalese. And then the east you have in Trinco and Ampare. Trinco you have a good number of Sinhalese, and then Ampare you have a good number of Muslims, I think Muslim dominated. There they are likely to do better because they will also be having some alliance with the Muslim parties, both Rashad Badruddin and Rauf Hakim. These are two established players. So they are there with him. And then as far as the hill country is concerned, the Tamil Progressive Alliance, Mano Ganesan, Digambaram, Panli Digambaram, and then Radhakrishnan, they are all there with him. So they will be contesting in the company of Sajid. Of course, this Ceylon Workers' Congress, this Tondaman's grandson or that. So I think what kind of alliance UNP is going to have, it's not yet clear. There is a talk that UNP and SJP, after all, SJP is a breakaway group of UNP. And the UNP suffered very badly because of that split. So there is a talk that they both should come together. After all, they are all former colleagues, etc. So if they come together, and then Muslim parties, and then Tamil Progressive Alliance, and then there will be, then that combination will be very, very formidable, and they may even secure a majority. I don't know, but anyway, that possibility is there. If all these forces come together, the SLPP, that Mahinda's party, Rajapaksa, they are likely to go it alone. And then it will try to hold on to whatever base it has got, or you try to improve upon it. My reading is that at least they will get one MP, as in the case of, as happened in the case of UNP last time. So in that case, Namal can make it to Parliament.
So moving on to other areas, AKD has articulated his domestic and foreign policy formulations. How do you think he will bridge the gap between rhetoric and the facts now?
It's going to be a huge challenge for him. It all depends upon how much support he is going to receive in the parliamentary polls. As of now, he is enjoying the benefit of doubt from every section of people. There is a widespread feeling, as I told you earlier, across the island, that he should be given a fair chance. But the immediate thing is that he has to renegotiate with IMF, and then he has to bring down the electricity bill or whatever. I think he has promised several other, made many such promises. So this some sort of economic relief people are expecting. That is, even though there is a stability in the economy, that volatility that was there in 2022 is no longer there, but still the prices are very high and people are reeling under that impact. So what kind of relief is going to give? Whether he will be able to give immediately in the next few weeks, or I don't know. That is, they are after the elections. Then if you are going to wait for the elections, then the people will start talking in a very, so that will be reflected in the election result also. So it is going to be a very, very difficult for him. And as of now, there are no indications of his actions to bridge this gap. But the thing is that he has begun on a very positive note. He has appointed a highly qualified, highly educated woman. Okay, so woman prime minister is having. And of course, this swearing-in ceremony was a low-key affair. He did not. I thought, since given the circumstances in which he won, I thought it would be a very public event and all that. But no, it was a very simple, formal, brief affair. And then, of course, his choice of people for governorship, particularly for this northern province, I think one Tamil civil servant. So he had been chosen, that he was penalized by previous government. So all these are all, I think, people welcome. Okay, yes, he started on a very on a positive, I think, right direction. Let us see whether how long he's going to progress that way. I hope he will go that way. And then, so it is going to be very huge challenging. That is, whether IMF will agree to renegotiate, what kind of thing. I think it's all going to be. It's going to be very, very challenging. So let us see. Unless he's able to build a consensus among parties and then present a united face, I think it's going to be very, very very, very challenging. It's a very difficult times that he has found himself in.
Quickly coming to New Delhi, India has warmed up to AKD. Are there wrinkles in the relationship that need to be ironed out? Hopefully, it will be a reenactment of the Muizu type situation in the Maldives.
I don't understand what you mean by the reenactment of Muizu type situation in the Maldives.
No, initially, there has been a lot of, he came out on an India Out campaign, but now slowly he has been warming up to India.
Okay, all right, fine. So Maldives president, I think Mohammed Muizu recently denied having an Indian out agenda, asserting that the island nation had a serious problem with the presence of foreign military on its soil. That's fine. So anyhow, I consider AKD an intelligent, smart, and sharp political leader. I met him once during a lunch hosted by his party in 2015. I had a fairly lengthy chat with him then. He would have by now observed and analyzed various factors that led to the failure of Gotabaya presidency. And he knows, I suppose, very well that he should not repeat the mistakes of his predecessor. So let's hope that AKD will do everything to improve his country's ties with India and take them to a much higher level than what it is now. We all Indians should keep in mind that a stable Sri Lanka is in the interest of India. After all, the island is located in a strategic location of the South Asian region, and it is through Colombo Harbour, that India gets an estimated 1/4 of its imports, besides sending through an equal amount of exports. Colombo Port is an important transshipment hub in the world. Besides Sri Lanka, a beautiful country, is the only other country in this region which ensured smooth transfer of power generally the last 75 odd years through ballot papers. Okay, that is, the incumbent president gets defeated, and he gives way to the opponent, the opposition leader. 2022 is an aberration, you leave aside. But if you take from 1948 to 2024, as in the case of India, okay, if the sitting prime minister or president loses, they don't make any fuss about losing power. So there is a, what I would call, there is a tradition of democratic system. It's about culture. That's not an ordinary thing. If you look at the rest of your region, okay, whether it is Pakistan or Nepal or Bangladesh, so the transfer of power through elections don't take place as frequently as happened in the case of India and in the case of Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka, I would rate very high as well as if at all there is some democracy in place.
Moving on to my last and final question. What is the mood in Tamil Nadu and Tamil diaspora elsewhere, sir? Your first-hand inputs on this, please.
I think it is quite muted as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned. I think Edappadi Palaniswamy only, I think, greeted him. I did not come across any other leader greeting AKD on his election. I think which they should have done as a matter of courtesy. Of course, there are vociferous elements which call themselves Tamil nationalists and great supporters of LTT. Because they are all the time unhappy, okay, regardless of who the winner is in the presidential. It's all different. As AKD is regarded as a leftist, some sections of even these elements are keen to watch his performance. As regards the diaspora, more or less the same holds good, even though a few organizations have welcomed AKD's ascension to power. A small digression, because I just give you this, as far as we will go back to that election result. and then I will give you some facts or some data. You see, in 2024, in these 6 electoral districts, the total votes polled was about 21.14 lakh votes. So AKD got about 3.5 lakh votes. Sajid Premadasa got about 8.78 lakh votes. And Ranil Wickramasinghe got about 4.93 votes. Okay. And then, so out of 21.14 in the 6 districts, AKD's share was 16.6. Sajid's share was 41.55. And then Ranil's share was 23.4. So what I would say that, see this last time, Gotabaya did not get even, we got about, I think, 7 or something like that. That is out of these, but out of the votes polled in the 6 districts. Okay, I'm talking about. I gave some other facet of their performance. It was out of the total votes that they got, how much came from North and East and then Norelia. Okay. But this time is that out of the votes polled in these 6 districts, then how these 3 candidates find. So the point is AKD is stopped. Of course, it's on the rise, I think, even in North and East and Tamil areas. But to what extent it will go, then there will be also saturation point. Okay, I think he has reached a more or less saturation point among the Sinhalese dominant areas. So let us see how he's going to, how he, NPP, JVP is going to perform in parliamentary polls. That's but if he is able to repeat and improve upon it, then that's a great thing. That's what he would like to do. But for that, he must do something in the next 3-4 weeks at least. So what he can do in the next 3-4 weeks, I don't know, because things are not that rosy, not at all rosy. So whether he will be able to bring down the electricity bill or some other utilities bill, we don't know. And then if he does that, as Gotabaya did, then it might create more problem. So I think, so this is going to be very, very challenging. It's a very complex situation. Of course, Sri Lanka is anyway, it's a beautiful country and then lovely people. And then, so India and people, Sri Lanka, I think at the people-to-people level, we must have all the time very warm cordial relations. That's what I would like the situation to be. But of course, history sometimes is against this spirit of relationship. Thank you very much for your.
Thank you very much, sir. That brings us to the end of today's episode. A big thank you to our guest, Mr. T. Ramakrishnan, for spending time with us and offering such valuable insights. To our audience, I hope you found our discussion insightful and thought-provoking. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of this conversation. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.